All right. So in our previous lessons, we have been looking at solving for variables. And we've been solving equations by balancing and finding solutions for equations by looking for, sorry, that was my mess up. You guys saw my mistake there. By either using a distributive property or by finding a solution for the variable and balancing our equations, right? Combining like terms, putting things together, and trying to solve for the unknown, isolating the variables. Well, we're going to take a step back so that we can use what we did in our last chapter to move forward. So first what we're going to do is we're moving into geometry. And within geometry, you are going to have to solve for unknown angles. So we're going to need to apply our learning from our previous chapter with solving for unknown solutions and unknown variables. But first we need to know what are angles and how do we find angles that are unknown. So today what we're going to do is we're going to just talk about vocabulary. And we're going to be looking at what types of vocabulary angles have. So first let's talk about the word vertex. So a vertex is where two angles meet. So a vertex is where two lines come together to form the angle. Sorry, so it's where two lines come together. It's where two lines come together to form an angle. Okay, it looks like this. Okay, so it looks like a V on its side. That's how I like to remember it. So a vertex is where two lines come together to form the angle. And the angle is right there. Okay, that is the vertex. Okay, so we have several different types of angles that are going to be using a vertex. And so this word is going to be really important. Okay, so let's talk about the types of angles that we have. We have first adjacent angles. So adjacent angles are two angles that share a common side and have the same vertex. So they have that same point right there, that same little ending point. Let's just like circle it. It's that, that little point right there. Okay, so they are two angles that share a common side and they have the same vertex. So two angles that have a common side and share a vertex. Okay, for example, I mean, we could like do an example here maybe. So example would look something like this. This right here. Here's the vertex. Maybe I should like highlight this somehow. This part right here, there's the vertex. Here's an angle. Here's an angle. They share that. Okay, so adjacent angles are two angles. Here's an angle, here's an angle. They share that vertex right there. Okay, And here's the common side that they would have in common. All right. Another type of angle that we have is called a complementary. Okay, so the next type of angle that we have is called a complementary. Now, people like to make funny jokes and say that complementary angles are super nice angles because they, they're super sweet and they give compliments to each other. Complementary angles. But complementary angles, really, these are angles that there's two of them, and when they come together, they form a 90-degree angle. So two angles that equal 90 degrees. Okay, for example, you could have like this, and another angle that goes off like this. And so here's an angle, and then here's angle 2, like this. Okay, they're complementary because they're side by side, and they form 90 degrees. I know some, so there we go. Okay, complementary. Okay, the next type of angle that we have is called supplementary. So supplementary angles. So supplementary angles. These angles are two angles that form 180 degrees. So these two angles, so again, we've got two angles, and these equal 180 degrees. So like a line. Okay, so they form like 180 degrees. They would make a straight line here. Okay, so supplementary angles are 180 degrees. So here we've got this and this. Got an angle coming off of here. All right, here's this, and they equal 180. Okay. I have people who like to try to remember supplementary and complementary to not get them mixed up. Complementary has one P, and this P looks like a 9 backwards, and 9 is like a 90. Okay, and supplementary looks like 2 P's, which is equal to 2 9's, or 2 90's, and 90 plus 90 equals 180, and that's how they remember it. I don't know, you choose how you want to remember supplementary versus complementary, but that's just a trick that some people like to remember. I didn't think of that. I actually had a student tell me that a few years ago, so I can't take the credit for it. Okay, and then the last type of angle that we have, these ones are called vertical angles. Okay, and vertical angles, they are opposite angles that form formed by two intersecting lines. Okay, so they opposite angles formed by intersecting lines. Okay, so like the lines are like crossing over each other. Okay, so these ones actually form like a big giant X, and like this side is opposite and that side is opposite. And like you could have this side be opposite, and this side be opposite. Ooh, that's kind of a cool looking picture there. Okay, so you have vertical angles. Okay, so opposite angles formed by intersecting lines. And they have the same measurements that are opposite one another. So like this side is equal to this side, and this side is equal to this side. So that's why I put them in the same colors. Okay, so let's now talk about how we would name them. Okay, so we're going to have a drawing. Yes, I'm going to attempt to draw for you. I know that this is going to be really interesting. But I'm going to do my best. And you're going to do your best because you also are going to have to draw this shape as well. So just do your best. If you have to pause to draw, pause to draw. Okay, so I'm going to draw. And the first thing that I'm going to draw is a line that is coming down like this. And then I have a line that is going across like that. And then I have a line that's coming straight from the middle out like this. All right. And I have these things here, which are little arrows. Okay. Now, I have some dots on my lines. Okay, these dots tell us what the line is called. Okay, so these are points on the line, and this helps us to identify the angle. Okay, so this dot is A, and this one right here is B. This one is dot C, and this one is a D. This one over here is E. This one is F. And one last thing on here is that there is a red box right here. Okay, now let's talk about what we're going to do with this shape. So with this shape, we are going to now do today's lesson. So today's lesson, it wants us to first use our vocabulary. So we are naming angles. That was our essential question. It wants us to name angles. So the first angle it wants us to name is adjacent. So we're looking for an adjacent angle. Okay, so it says to name the adjacent angles. Well, it tells us that adjacent angles are two angles that have a common side and share a vertex. So we're looking for something that shares a common side and has a vertex. So when I am working with shapes that look like this, I like to take a scrap of paper or like a Post-it note if you have one, and I like to cover things up because this is really confusing for me to look at. So I just cover this up and I look for a shape that looks like this. It has a common side, a vertex that's shared. So the adjacent angles here are angle A, B, and C. The B goes in the middle because that's where the vertex is. So we write angle. That's how you write the word angle, is just like this. Angle A, B, and C. So A, B, C. And angle A, B, F. A, B, F. I could have written it as angle FBA if I wanted. It could have been my choice. Okay? All right. Example B. example B says that they want a complementary angle. All right. Okay, so complementary angle. So they want a complementary angle. A complementary angle are two angles that equal 90. Okay, they've already done the hard work for me. Complementary angles have this red box. My job is to just name them. So complementary, one, I needed to know complementary meant 90 degrees. So I can use my notes or I can just remember. But complementary means 90. So I come over here and I look for a 90 degree right here. And I'm going to write that it's angles EBD and DBC. Angle DBC. Sorry, I forgot the angle sign. Because when I add this side and this side, they both equal 90. It's the sum. I have to add those two sides up to get to 90. Okay, letter C. They are looking for supplementary. So I am looking for a supplementary angle. All right, supplementary angle. A supplementary angle equals 180 degrees. Whew. Okay, supplementary. Okay, we have several, right? I could use my adjacent angles, or I could get fancy and look at this one over here on the side. Look at this one. I have ABC and I have CBD. I have that one. We can use that one. All right, so angle ABC, and because it's a straight line, and angle CBD. These shapes have more than one type of these angles, okay? All right, and the last one that they want me to find is a vertical angle. All right, in the vertical angle, it's asking me to find where they form the X. Okay, so I'm looking for two lines that intersect one another and are opposites. So I'm looking for two angles that are vertical. They form the V across from each other. So here's a V here. And here's a V across, right? So if I cover this up, I have a V right here, but then opposite of it, I have another V right here. If I did this, I don't have a V over here that's opposite. So this E, if I get rid of that E right there, this is opposite of this, okay? So my vertical angles are angle FBA and opposite DBC. Angle DBC. I feel like I'm just saying my ABCs all day. That's what I feel like right now. Okay, so that is how you describe geometric shapes. Okay, so these are angles. These are how we name the angles. This is the vocabulary. So right now it's your turn to look at a shape and identify some angles. So hit pause if you need to write any of this down, if you haven't yet. And I'm going to turn the page and we are going to draw another shape. Okay. So that you can do your try-its. Alrighty. Your try it today. This shape. Okay, so the shape looks like this. So you have a line that is going across like this. And then you have another line that's going across like that. Okay? And then you have another line that's kind of going straight down through the middle. Okay? All right, got it? Now, it has a Q, a K, an L, J is in the middle, M, N, and P. And again, these lines can go on forever. That is why they have arrows at the end. So try it number 1. They would like for you to find adjacent angles. So they want you to find the adjacent angles. And example number 2. Try it number 2. They would like for you to please find, oh, I forgot to tell you where the, that does not look like a 90-degree box. Theirs looks way better, and I apologize to you for that. Okay, they would like you to find supplementary. Hopefully you can do that. Angles. Okay, so find both of those. Hit pause right now so you can do your 2 try-its. That's a horrible, horrible 90-degree angle. Sorry, people. Okay, so hit pause so you don't hear me finding these 2 try-its, and you find your try-its. Remember, 2 angles for both. Okay, here we go. Adjacent. So adjacent means 2 angles that have a common side and share a vertex. A common side and they share a vertex. Right, common side, share a vertex. Well, look at that. Here's one. They have a common side. They share a vertex. Here is another one right here. They have a common side. They share a vertex. Look at all these possibilities. Ooh, and I can keep going around and around this shape. There's another one. Hopefully you're watching so you can see all 3 of these work. Oh my gosh, here is another one right there. They share a common side and a vertex. This thing just goes on forever. And there is another one. Common side and a vertex. So I think what I am going to do is I'm just going to pick this last one that I landed at. You can pick any of the ones that I have shown. Oh, I didn't even show this one right here. Okay, so you can choose any of those. Angle K, J, L, and L, J, M. All right, so right here and here. Okay, and supplementary angles. So these angles form 180 degrees. So 180 degrees is what we are looking for. So supplementary, so we're looking for the ones that form a straight line. Okay, here's a straight line right here. And then the one that comes off of it. So you've got Q, P, what is this thing? I covered it up. M, Q, J, P. So you got, is that what that is? Q, J, there's a straight line. It goes straight through here. So you could have Q, J, P, and P, J, M. You could also have, it's hard to look at this thing, P, J, Q, and Q, J, L, because that forms a straight line. You could also have this straight line. There's so many straight lines. It's like you can't go wrong on this thing. This one is like craziness. So this makes like a big circle. And so there's so many different answers here. Okay, so I'm just going to go with angle Q, J. So Q, J, P. So boom, boom. And then P, J, M. And angle P, J, M. So I use this as the base of my line right here with this one coming off of it. I ignored the N. If you use the N, you would have ignored the P. Okay, if you use this line here and use this one, you would have ignored the K. You could have used the K and ignored the Q. So P, J, K, or K, J, L. That works. There's so many options, you guys. You can use any of those. Okay? Hopefully this worked for you. Go ahead and answer your essential question. I know this lesson went a little bit long. I'm sorry about that, but naming angles takes a long time. There's a lot of vocabulary. Yeah, hopefully you found a trick to help you. Thank you so much for your hard work today. I really, really appreciate it, and make it a great day. You are awesome.